This video is titled $10 and a little bit of research saved me $1,600, or otherwise known as this is where it kind of all started with me with the DIY car repair. So as we were driving back from Arizona up the California coast, about halfway there, day 3 out of 7, we had stopped somewhere and we noticed there's a little bit of an oil, kind of a rainbow under the car when we backed out. And we're like, okay, that's odd. We just had this car serviced, a bunch of stuff done to it. We have an oil leak? We weren't sure. It wasn't obvious yet. So fast forward, I get back home. I take the car into Porsche dealership only because there had been a recall, so that was going to be taken care of. They went in and they diagnosed the oil leak as being the upper chain tensioner. Now that upper chain tensioner had been taken out or loosened or whatever for one of the repairs that had to be done when my car was getting all the work done to it before we took the trip. So the Porsche dealership quoted me about $1,600 to replace the upper chain tensioner. And of course I wasn't thrilled since I had just spent quite a bit of money getting a bunch of work done to the vehicle right after I bought it before I drove up and drove it back home. So I decided to take a beat, think about it, sort of, look into it. So at this point, I have done no work on this Boxster. I don't know anything about working on cars, and we're starting out here as like problem one. Now I have to actually think about, do I need to start looking into this myself? So my friend Kurt, who has now become my Boxster mentor, said, yes, let's get in there. So I contacted the shop in Arizona that had done the work, mentioned the issue. They were of course surprised. They were nice enough to send me some crush washers. When you put the chain tensioner in, that crush washer, one-time use, helps, seal that in. So I did have those on hand before we got in there. And they also let me know what size socket we needed. It's 32 millimeter and it's a very narrow depth because you have to fit in there. And it's kind of tricky to get in there. So we got in there, and what we decided to do, Kurt said, you know what? Let's look up the spec of what this should be the torque. And we'll get in there and we'll at least just tighten it. Let's just see what happens. So this was the first time I put my car in service mode, taking everything apart. So we put the car in service mode, we took everything out and got into the front of the engine bay there from inside the vehicle. And definitely, sure enough, there was oil. Here's a fun photo. Do you want to see how much oil can actually leak from an upper chain tensioner when you're on a long road trip? Quite a bit. And a lot of that was blowback, I think, from the wind as we were driving. And what's funny is the oil level never showed that it was, low, at least not off of the indicator on the dash. And the dipstick, neither one showed that it was lower. So we got everything apart and we got in there. It was pretty tight with the torque wrench. At this point, again, Kurt's doing all the work, so I got to give credit where credit's due. And we got in there and we got about 2 clicks on the torque wrench. And that was it. We did some brake clean in there, cleaned up some of the oil that was kind of pooling in there, and decided, let's see what happens. So we got it all buttoned back up, and I drove it back home. Kurt lives about an hour from my house, so it's a good solid drive. And I checked it a few days later, and sure enough, no leak. Now, this wasn't where my problems ended. There ended up being like 3 more leaks from the work that had been done from the people in Arizona. But this was the main leak, the major leak that was causing most of the mess under there that I had to clean up. So the moral of the story is a little curiosity, a little bravery, a little pushing from a friend, and I was able to save all that money, and that part didn't even need to be replaced. It literally was just loose. So, that sort of set me in motion in this journey of, wow, okay, I guess I can try and work on this thing. And I know so many people watching this video you're looking at me like, duh, yeah, just get in there and do it. It's not scary. But it was great. It was a little boost of confidence to get in there and start working. And throughout this journey of working on things, it's just such a great feeling. I mean, you feel a sense of pride. You feel, that you're problem solving. You're exercising that part of your brain. Your curiosity is going now. So if something's wrong with the vehicle, you're more curious to see what it could be. And it's just something that I've can already see can carry over into other parts of your life. You know, when you're doing any activity, even if it's not a car activity, and you're doing all these things, it's naturally just going to sort of affect you and you carry it to other parts of your life. So it's been a blessing in disguise. And I might make another video about that whole situation with the Arizona shop and um, just about how a bad thing can turn into a really good thing. I think it's something for us to all remember. Um, it's just a good thing to sort of always try and be on the lookout for when something bad's happening. How can you reevaluate it, assess the situation, and flip it? Because oftentimes, you know, it can be a blessing in disguise. Like good things can come out of bad situations all the time. So, anyway, that's the $10 story. $10. That's all it costs in about an hour of time.